Hi guys. Stuff's happening, so I'm not sure. Let me just try and get on with this topic because sorry, I've had some distractions this morning. But so how is everyone? Let's have a look. So I'm making my egg muffin now. I have to get stuff like me. Toast was pretty. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into the carnivore keto stuff now, Nancy. But Nancy, it's pretty simple. Do keto, you'll be okay. As soon as you start eating the bread and the pasta and sugary stuff, you're not going to be well. You're not going to be. It's that simple. Do keto. Do keto. Only eat twice a day. Keep it simple. Right, let's have a look. So yeah, truly, my life is very upside down here. I'm lucky to get on here for 1 minute. Forget 1 hour. Remember, I got 5 kids. 5 kids. It affects my life, guys. So the whole David Stanley thing, it's a complicated topic. Now, the one thing I have realized when it comes to David Stanley, Ricky, even Billy, and anybody that was close to Elvis, whether it's Memphis Mafia, whether it's Priscilla, it doesn't matter who it is, yeah? They've all had something bad to say about Elvis, and it's usually for money. I know that the Stanley name is a bit of a swear word. You talk to a lot of fans, you mention the Stanleys, and they ain't happy. I'm pretty sure that Dave and Billy Stanley still get a lot of abuse. Now, obviously, we know Billy's wrote the book and tried to make amends, and it is a beautiful book. Elvis speaks to us through this book, doesn't he? This is a lovely book. I highly recommend this book. I think this is Billy's way of trying to make amends for the mistakes he's made in the way that he's discussed Elvis or in books that he's been involved with. Billy is obviously a Christian man. So this is lovely. But it doesn't change the fact that mistakes were made. So apologies, I think, are the right way to go. I actually think people that have trashed Elvis in the past, even if it's true, should apologize. Even if what they're saying is correct, they should apologize. Yeah, I just think that's the right thing to do. Yeah, whether it be obviously Ricky has passed, so he can't apologize. Most of them, almost all the Memphis Mafia have passed, so they can't apologize. Billy Smith definitely can apologize. 100%. He has definitely said things he shouldn't have said. But I'm not here to talk about Billy today, even though I have been watching some Billy clips this morning. I did find a clip from Danny of Memphis Mafia Kid, and he's asked the question about David Stanley. He has asked the whole thing about because David Stanley has said Elvis committed suicide. Do any of you know that? David Stanley has said more than once that Elvis committed suicide. We all know damn well that Elvis would never, even for a second, have even thought for a second to end his life. He loved Lisa way too much to ever go down that road. So I'm very insulted that in the past, David Stanley and even Ricky has said some horrific things. Some people would call these things outrageous. Now, we know that Elvis had a serious problem with prescribed medication, and probably that was part of the reason why he also had serious health problems. But we also know, there's a few books now, but I will show you this book, even though I'm not happy with Sally Hoddle, and I don't like the title of this book. The title of this book is ridiculous. It shouldn't be Destined to Die Young, because he wasn't destined to die young. There was a lot of reasons why Elvis died when he died. But there are many books, or some books, that clearly show that Elvis was a very sick man. Yeah? And so, yes, the Stanleys in the past can talk about the ins and outs I don't need this up at the moment. The Stanleys in the past, mainly Ricky and David, have discussed Elvis's prescribed medication, his drug problem. They called him an addict. They said some pretty degrading, disgusting things about him. They go into graphic detail about the last couple of years of his life, especially the last few days of his life, and maybe some parts of it are true, but they never mention his health problems. Ever. I haven't seen. Just let the dog in. I haven't seen a video yet where Ricky and Dave say Elvis was very sick. He had different health, listing his different medical problems, chronic health problems, stuff that he was even born with, could have also inherited, serious stuff wrong with his body. Yeah, every part of his body. Yeah, they never say the health problems, then say he needed his medication. They never say he needed his medication. They always go down he was an addict. He, almost that he wanted to just get off his face, get stoned, get high. I don't think they use those words, but what my point is that it's so obvious when you watch these clips of Ricky and Dave. It's very much Elvis was an out-and-out druggie and basically ruined his own health and killed himself. That is the impression you get when you listen to Ricky and Dave. Now remember, these are step brothers. These are step brothers. I'm not going to go too much about Billy because I don't know enough about Billy. But Ricky and Dave, I know Ricky's has passed away, which is just obviously horrible for Billy. Of course it is, and horrible for Dave as well. He's a human being, but he made some serious mistakes, Ricky, with a lot of the things he said, with many interviews that he was part of. Remember, a lot of these documentaries, biography type trashy things that were made through the late 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, were just to make money. Just to make money. So I look at the things that Ricky has done, the things that David has done, not just the interviews that I've seen, the trashy documentaries, biographies, and books. And these people were supposed to love Elvis. They grew up with Elvis. These people, these are step brothers. Elvis completely turned their whole world around. The best thing that ever happened to the Stanley brothers was Dee marrying Vernon. When Dee married Vernon, their whole lives were completely turned around. Yeah. And they really, really benefited massively to this day. To this day, their lives are much better, all for being related to Elvis, even though it was stepbrothers. Don't forget, they're not really stepbrothers now, are they? Because Vernon and Dee divorced, so they are ex stepbrothers. Do any of you know that really they're ex stepbrothers? And even that was said on what program is it? I watched them say it. I think it was said on Memphis Mafia Kid. They are ex stepbrothers. They call themselves stepbrothers. They were stepbrothers to Elvis for 17 years, is it? But they are ex stepbrothers. Yeah. So yeah, well, Nancy, we're gonna play a few clips, okay? So let me just put some water in my coffee. We're gonna be here a while. We're gonna be here a while. Let's just warm that up a minute, guys. Okay, I'm just warming up my coffee, guys, because I can't be stood here drinking bloody cold coffee. Okay, guys. Got me coffee. Got me coffee. Right, so let me just get it a bit cozier already. So England is sunny but cold. Sunny but cold. Okay, guys. So I wanted to do a bit of an introduction chat. This is gonna be a long live. We're gonna stop after an hour and do a part 2. So does anyone want to comment about the Stanleys at all? We're more talking about Dave and Ricky. I don't mind people bringing up Billy at all. I haven't done enough research on Billy to understand the mistakes he made concerning saying things about Elvis that are just unfair or betraying Elvis. Because don't forget, this is how I see it, guys. If this, Elvis was very, very, very good to these 3 boys. Very good, like extremely good. Yeah, he really did welcome them into his world with open arms. He treated them like brothers. He really did. They loved him. He loved them. Yeah, Elvis was very pleased that he had gained 3 stepbrothers. Yeah, very pleased. He truly loved those boys and they loved him. And Elvis made sure they had good Christian beliefs, etc. Which, they all turned out to be very good Christians. Even now, the Christian faith is very important to David and to Billy. It does seem to me like David and Billy have hooked up and they're going to do things together. They've got very good Facebook pages. And I am not, how can I say it? At the moment, I seem to be okay with Billy Stanley, but we have had a disagreement because Billy, how can I say it? So as you guys know, where's the book? I've got Billy's book. It's a brilliant. I love Billy's book. Yeah, I've got nothing but good things to say about Billy's book. Yeah, but I got to chapter 13. I got to chapter 13 of this book. Me and Billy have had online chats quite a few times, and then suddenly Billy just pulled the plug on all of it and said, "I don't want you to talk about me anymore. I don't want you to read my book anymore." Just out of the blue. Yeah, his reason was that we had this discussion with this fake Joe Esposito guy. So I don't know if you remember, guys. Joe Esposito joined my live stream. It was Joe Esposito's fake son. Yeah. Joined my live and started asking questions. We asked him questions, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day I got a message from Billy Stanley saying, "Don't talk about me anymore. Don't read my book anymore." That is the reason me and Billy have stopped talking. Now, I haven't stopped talking to Billy. He has answered a couple of questions for me in the last month. So we haven't fallen out, but he's took away my permission to read his book. Yeah. So that's where we stand with that. I personally think Billy Stanley was very unfair to me because I was very gracious and polite and kind to him. Very respectful. So I do think Billy was unfair to me, but I've got no angst with Billy. I respect him. I like him. I wish him well. I love his book. His book is beautiful. The way his book comes through, Elvis comes through Billy's book. It really does. If this is a treat, guy, this is a real treat. It's one of the best books I think ever written about Elvis because you feel like you're talking to Elvis when you read this book. It's a beautiful book. So Billy has sort of redeemed himself and is now defending Elvis all the time. Yeah, all the time. He's one of the biggest defenders of Elvis. But I do think the way Billy treated me was very unfair. Very unfair. I didn't deserve it. Yeah. Billy Stanley. But I have, I'm just going to say I have no angst with Billy. I wish him well and all that. Yeah. I think he's a defender of Elvis. Yeah, I really do. Now, with the story with David and Ricky is more that I want to discuss it. I want to try and understand the rights and wrongs of the things that David said about Elvis, the things that Ricky said about Elvis, and which does actually tie in with other people as well, like Ginger and Red West, just people that were around Elvis quite a lot, and even people that were around Elvis right at the end. There's some pretty horrific stories about how Elvis was receiving his drugs, prescribed medication, right at the end of his life. Yeah, some pretty horrific stuff out there that involved Ricky and David. Yeah, so we the fans, yeah, we come at this. This is a discussion. Yeah, a discussion to try and understand a bit more about David, a bit more about Ricky. Of course, if you guys want to mention Billy, that's up to you. But I'll go back to what I started saying. They do seem very unpopular. They do seem. Now, there's one thing I want to say. That I don't accept that if somebody grew up with Elvis for 17 years, that gives them the right to say any of us that have opinions defending Elvis, that it doesn't count. Yeah? I actually think we, the fans, have more right to defend Elvis because we are very impartial. We come at it as fans. So I've heard it a few times. I don't care what you say. You didn't grow up with him. You didn't spend every day with him. Well, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference. It's like the Smiths may say it, or Danny may say it. Danny Smith, Billy Smith. Just because people grew up with Elvis doesn't make it okay to trash him. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard Danny trash him, but I have heard Billy trash Elvis. Yeah, so Billy Smith. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that we're called defending Elvis. We are fans. That's all we are. We're not experts. We're not researchers. We do have the right to defend Elvis and expose the wrongdoing done to Elvis, even if what these people are saying is truth. It's still a betrayal. Elvis would not have liked the things that Billy Smith says, that David Stanley said, that Ricky said, maybe Billy said in the past. Elvis would have hated it. He would have turned in his grave. He would have felt that these people would really let him down. He would have been very disappointed. So growing up with Elvis doesn't give you a green light to go, I can say what I want because I was there. No. If you were there, you should know better and you should have kept your mouth shut. That's how I see it. Even if some of these disgusting details are known and they may be true, some of them, yeah, you still should have kept your mouth shut. But you don't, because you do it for the money. We always come back to this, don't we, guys? Why do these people betray Elvis, Billy Smith, Memphis Mafia, Ricky Stanley? Why Ricky David, even Dee Stanley? Yeah, because she was one of the biggest betrayers of all of them. Yeah, the Geraldo interview program was one of the most disgusting things I've ever listened to. So they do it for the money. They do it for the money. So if these people are going to do stuff that trash Elvis, even if some of the things that they're saying are true, it has to be shame on them because it was trashing Elvis for money. So I think I'm getting the feeling that we being called defending Elvis, I'm starting to realize this now as we're evolving as a channel. We're getting on to 2 years. We're starting to go into getting on to 2 years of defending Elvis. I didn't really realize this. I've only realized it recently that us being called defending Elvis, even the people closest to Elvis, it could be Billy Smith, it could be Ricky, it could be not Ricky, Ricky's passed away, sorry. Could be David, could even be Billy, definitely ex-girlfriends. I'm getting the feeling now that we make them feel a bit uncomfortable because we are going to cover topics they don't want brought up. I didn't see this at first. At first I was like, of course, the living people that grew up with Elvis or was Elvis's ex-girlfriend or worked for Elvis or just knew Elvis, I would have thought they were one of the first people to say, oh yeah, we support defending Elvis. We support what you do. Like a good example, Mindy Miller supports what we do. She loves what we do. She supports what we do. Yeah. I'm starting to get a feeling now that these people that were very close to Elvis don't support what we do because we are discussing things that make them uncomfortable, that they want kept buried, kept unsaid, hidden. and I never expected this. I never thought all these people that were close to Elvis through his life don't really want us to defend Elvis, because we are discussing topics they want forgotten. I repeat, we are discussing topics they want forgotten. So I'm now starting to learn now that the people that were very close to Elvis really don't want us to do this, don't want us to defend Elvis. We have a secret backlash. And it's took me this long to realize it. So the David Stanley topic has also made me go, right. Because remember, these people, a lot of these people are born again Christians. They've reinvented themselves as people that grew up with Elvis, written books, many books. And these people are hero worshipped because they knew Elvis, because they were there. They're one of the last few surviving living members, living people that knew Elvis through his life and at the end of his life. Yeah? We could be talking about David Stanley, Billy. We could be Billy Stanley. We could be talking about Billy Smith, couldn't we? Yeah? They were there. There's only a few left. So I'm starting to think now that these people don't want us to defend Elvis because we discuss topics that they would rather be forgotten. Yeah? So that puts me in an awkward position, guys, because I am a fan of Elvis and Lisa and the Bloodline. I'm like, I have to discuss these awkward topics because I'm trying to defend Elvis, to expose the truth, or just to defend him. Yeah. Just to say these people betrayed him. These people let him down. These people said things they should have kept private. These people said things they should have kept to themselves. Yeah. Elvis would be horrified at a lot of the things that these people said, and not just Ricky and David and Billy Smith, also people like Linda Thompson, who I like. Even Ginger Alden said a few things that she really should not have said. And when it really comes down to it, these things were said for money. For money. Get it, guys? So it's awkward. We're between defending Elvis, the YouTube channel. We are between a rock and a hard place, because we're discussing things that people don't want us to talk about. We're discussing things that people want us to forget, want to be left forgotten. Yeah? Left under the rug, hidden away. People have short memories. So this topic ties in with that. Unfortunately, I am going to bring up the topics that involve the Smiths, the Stanleys, ex-girlfriends, people that work for Elvis. And my intention in bringing up these topics is to say Elvis was let down. He's owed an apology. Even with Billy Smith, when we discussed the documentaries, the True Hollywood documentaries, all the King's Men, or this book, yeah, which trashes Elvis, I say to the people involved in these things, just say sorry and move on. Say sorry and move on. Say sorry to the fans, to Elvis's family. Show regret, show remorse. Say you made a mistake. Move on. Then we can all forgive and move on. That's how I see it. I don't see it that let's just forget about it. Let's act like it never happened. Yeah? This is what's happening with people like Billy Smith. Let's act like it wasn't said, like it never happened. Let's try and forget it. Let's just say pretty stories. Let's just tell cute Elvis stories, and people will give us money and subscribe and send us super thank yous and buy our pictures and attend our events. Yeah, because these events are very profitable. Yeah, you make a lot of money in these events. So let's just keep it all very cute and make some money. Yeah. Now, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Do the events. Keep it cute. Say the lovely stories. Tell us all your beautiful memories of growing up with Elvis, whether you're a Smith or a Stanley or an ex-girlfriend. But also apologise for saying things Elvis would not have wanted you to say, even if they're true. True or not, apologise for saying things that Elvis would not have wanted you to say, and you did it for money. Not for historical purposes. You did it for money. Yeah? So I want to just quickly show you a very tiny example of what I'm trying to say. Then I'm going to read your comments. So it isn't good enough to say, oh, because I grew up with Elvis, because I was his ex-stepbrother, it isn't good enough to say because of it, no one else is allowed to have an opinion. Elvis deserves better. Now, I'm going to show you a picture. I've got a few things I'm going to play for you guys, but there is a picture I got off David Stanley's Facebook. Was it a picture? Oh no, here we are. Right, so let me just make it bigger. Now, David Stanley had said some pretty atrocious things about Elvis. Yeah, some bizarre things as well. Some pretty horrible, hurtful things. He almost never talked about the fact Elvis was also very unwell, very sick, had chronic health problems. Yeah, he'd inherited some health problems. Elvis did need his medication. Now, did Elvis abuse them? Maybe. Did Elvis take too many? Maybe. Were some of the drugs or prescribed medications Elvis took causing him to have bad health? Yeah, probably. Was he addicted to some of them? Yeah, probably. But he also needed many of them. Elvis, a man in serious pain, discomfort with serious constipation, loads of problems. Elvis had loads of serious health problems. Yeah. So there's a lot of the medication Elvis took he did need. You turn to your doctor. Your doctor gives you what you need. The doctors were really a bit out of their depth, didn't really know how to properly treat Elvis because he had so many health problems. Yeah. So the doctors were a bit unsure how to fix Elvis, to soothe his pain, to give him, to let him relax and all that kind of stuff. And obviously Elvis had the worst insomnia. So how to help him sleep. Elvis was really overworked. So he really did need a lot of these medications. So let me just say something very quickly. So this is David Stanley. He's reinvented himself as a Christian man, a born-again Christian man. The faith is very important to him. Yeah. But he has said and done many things in the past that goes against Elvis, that he should not have said. He'll say, well, it's truth, it's historical, the public want to know the truth. I don't see it that way. I see that he's completely let down his ex-stepbrother. Because remember, he's not a stepbrother anymore. He's an ex-stepbrother. He's completely let down his ex-stepbrother by saying some disgusting things and doing some horrible interviews. He's U-turned on a few of the things he has said. Yeah. One of the worst ones is the whole Elvis committed suicide, which is bullshit. There's no way Elvis committed suicide. No way. And he said it more than once. Ricky has said some pretty disgusting things as well. So I just wanted to read this one page. My show in Las Vegas are not reality shows. They are historical events. Now that really pisses me off. Yeah. This is to David Stanley. If you watch my show. Yeah. I don't care that you grew up with Elvis, that you're his ex-stepbrother. It doesn't mean anything to me because we're all equals. We're all human beings. Yes, you grew up with Elvis. You were so lucky that you grew up with Elvis. You were so lucky that your mum married Vernon. Yeah. So you have been blessed. Yeah. You were blessed with an amazing life. Amazing life. Fantastic life. The best life you could ever dream of. Yeah. Please don't blame Elvis for your problems with drugs. Please don't blame Elvis for your problem. You were just a rebellious teenager that went down the wrong road when it comes to taking drugs and partying and women. Even an involvement with Priscilla, something to do with the skinny dipping stuff. You just had the best time of your life. And yes, Elvis definitely had a problem with prescribed medication, but please don't call it a historical event. Please do not call that a historical event, because the words you say when you discuss Elvis are from your point of view. They're your version of event. They're not Elvis's. Elvis would see it differently. Elvis would see it differently. Yeah. So many of the things you try and share. The other guy, I've watched David's interviews. He's a Priscilla fan. Yeah. He even said he looks forward to the new book. He looks forward to Priscilla's new book. Yeah. I don't like the way David talks about Priscilla. I don't like the way he talks about Elvis and Priscilla. His view of it, his version of things. Your thing, this is to you, David Stanley. You may look at me and just think, oh, Louis in the UK. Who cares what Louis thinks? He's just a fan in the UK. I care. We care. The fans care. Yeah, we defend Elvis and his legacy and his image, specifically where you're concerned, David. We defend Elvis' image and reputation. Yeah, that's everything to us. Yeah, he deserves better. Elvis deserves better. But we also do it from the point of view of Riley may be watching your stuff. Finley and Harper. Lisa may have watched, well, would have watched a lot of the things you did, Lisa Marie Presley. So your portrayal of Elvis over the last 40 years has been very unkind to Elvis, very cruel, takes away his dignity. For Lisa Marie Presley, it was very important. She knew that it was important to Elvis to keep his dignity. Elvis would hate all this trashing of him, even if it happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Elvis would have hated it. And he shouldn't be receiving it from family members, even if you're a stepbrother or an ex-stepbrother. You guys that double-crossed Elvis after he gave you a fantastic life, you're out of order. At the very least, we want apologies, yeah? As fans, for the fans, for Elvis's future family, his, Riley, Finley, Harper, to Lisa, to Elvis, yeah? Now, I think Billy has redeemed himself and it has done good, yeah? Even maybe David to a certain extent. But I don't accept what you're saying here. My shows in Las Vegas are not reality shows. They are historical events. I lived the history with Elvis for 17 years. I'm one of the 2 or 3 that are still alive who carries the memories of Elvis from a personal perspective. Come see me at the Westgate. Obviously, we know David works for Westgate, doesn't he? Now, I am insulted by that. I'm insulted by that because this is not a historical event. This is David Stanley's way of making money at the cost of Elvis because he was so lucky that he grew up with Elvis and that Elvis was so kind he took on D. Stanley's children. Yeah? Because Elvis really did assume a parental role with these 3 kids, Ricky, Dave, and Billy. Yeah? So, no, it's not historical because it's your version of events, your memories, doesn't make them completely correct. Your version, not Elvis's. Yeah? So, and then the other thing is I keep hearing this. I am one of the 2 or 3 people that are still alive who carries the memory of Elvis. Yes, you are, but it doesn't give you the right. It doesn't make it okay that you've trashed him in the past without properly apologizing. Without properly apologizing for some of the disgusting things you said about Elvis. True or not. True or not. So, if any person that grew up with Elvis or was ex-girlfriend or was working for Elvis tries to give us the fans the impression that we're not really allowed to defend Elvis because we weren't there, because we aren't family, because we're not an ex-girlfriend, because we didn't work for Elvis, because we didn't grow up with Elvis in Gracelands or one of his other homes, or because we didn't go on tour with Elvis, or we weren't on the movie sets. Yeah, you get it? I'm sorry, the fans have more right. The fans have more right because we want the truth. We don't want the trashing. We don't want the twisted version of events, the reinventing of history. The reinventing, the rewriting of history. Because when David Stanley gives his version of events, he has changed history because it's his version. It's his version. So, guys, I know that, I have to bang heads with people because I run a channel called Defending Elvis. So I have to bang heads with people. And it's uncomfortable for me as well. But this is how we defend. This is how we stand up for Elvis. We have the right to stand up for Elvis, even if it's against the Smiths, the Stanleys, an ex-girlfriend, an ex-employee, a TV company that has trashed him, even if it's against Netflix for trashing him in a documentary, which they haven't done yet, but there's been some on Prime, hasn't there? Yeah. So we stand up for Elvis. Whoever trashes him, whether they're related to him or grew up with him or not, whether it's in a biography, a documentary, in a book, in a stupid interview that is just so cruel to Elvis, even stupid, silly things like people that try to make money saying that Elvis is Bob Joyce. We will stand up for Elvis on his behalf as fans. If someone says, well, what gives you the right to stand up for Elvis? We're fans. We're fans. That's it. We have the right to defend Elvis. So, right, I'm going to read your comments. I know it's a long-winded speech, guys, but I do have quite a few clips to play you. Yeah. Now we're going to do this in our segments. So let's have a look. Let's see where we are. I mean, I've been going through and I've been finding lots of stuff, guys. It's pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting. Let me just get it up so we know who's on air. Okay, right. I've got your comments up. Got myself a coffee. So good morning to you. If you've just joined us, get yourself a coffee. Later on, if you're watching this on a replay, I hope you had a good night's sleep. And get yourself a coffee and enjoy our show. Yeah. So Team Elvis, we come together every day to defend Elvis, and we do it with pride. Elvis does need defending. He does it. I mean, we're not just going to act like all these things never happened. Right. So let me just see your comments, guys. Okay. So I haven't had time to inform people. I'm really sorry, but so I heard Ricky say when he was 54, Elvis took some drugs. He fell off the toilet and smothered into the car. Yeah, I've heard it, but look, guys, I'm not trying to say that Elvis didn't take prescribed medication. I'm not trying to whitewash Elvis and say that he didn't have a problem with it. And I'm not even trying to say he wasn't addicted. I am saying he was very sick, chronically sick. And these people never say that. They talk about the drugs, the medication, how unwell he was, but they never say he was sick. I think one of the few people that said that Elvis was sick was Charlie Hodge. Charlie Hodge. What happened with Billy, with you, is ridiculous. I'm not being rude, but he's being a hypocrite because he said some terrible things that you never did. I was just briefly on it, guys. I was so nice to Billy. I really was nice to Billy. Billy Stanley. The way he treated me was wrong. It was wrong. But I'm not going to hold a grudge. But it was wrong. And I was enjoying reading that book as well. Billy hasn't even been on Joe's show, but Billy was on somebody else's show and he was saying some nasty stuff about Elvis. Well, I don't know about that, Nancy. I think Billy speaks well of Elvis now. I don't think Billy would say anything nasty now about Elvis. I think he's on a new path. And obviously the book is just beautiful. The book, it's a lovely book, guys. Credit where credit due. This is a lovely book. I actually recommend people buy it. It's lovely. The Faith of Elvis, Billy Stanley. It's a very nice, easy read. It'll bring you to tears. Billy is an Elvis defender. He is. Okay, let's just have a look at your comments. Yeah, Karen has got a good point. Hi, Karen. Hope you're well. Yes, these people that were close to Elvis, that grew up with him, some of them think they have we don't have the right to do what we're doing. Now, actually, in fairness to the Smiths, Danielle does sit there and ask some pretty tough questions. She does. And Danny gets asked some pretty tough questions, doesn't he, by Teresa? So I've never heard Danny trash Elvis, ever. Never. I've never heard Danny trash Elvis. I have heard Billy trash Elvis, Billy Smith. Many times, actually. And not everything Joe says, I think, is very kind to Elvis as well. You know, I'm just being honest, guys. Lou, the way Billy has treated you and the lovely things you have said about him and his book is so childish. He promoted yet another Stanley book through your show. And now, yeah, no, it's true. I was unfairly treated by Billy. I was. I'm not going to beat about the bush. Davis has a sweet residency in Vegas for $150,000 a year, thanks to Elvis. Tony Denoville. These people have spent their lives making a fortune from the fact they grew up with Elvis. They are so lucky that Dee married Vernon. Yeah. And to me, their way of showing their thanks was to trash him for decades, for money, in many stupid documentaries, many. Yeah, there's loads on here, guys. And I'm going to play some clips as well. So, Tony, are you new to our show? Welcome to Team Elvis. We have one mission here, defending Elvis and his bloodline. That's all we do. That's all we do. Now, we get hated and attacked and called names and insulted, and we get a lot of backlash. But all we do is defend Elvis, nothing else. Yeah, what the Stanleys have said over the years is shocking. Yeah. True or not, guys? Keep it to yourselves. It should have been kept private. It was all done for money. For money. No regard for how Elvis would feel, how Lisa Marie would feel. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard Billy trash Elvis in the last couple of years, so I'd have to see that. I don't think he would. I think Billy's trying to move away. Billy Smith is trying to move away from all that. So I'm not going to agree with you, Nancy. Okay, so I do massively disagree with this bullshit that this is a historical event. When you go and see David Stanley at his event, that it's a historical event. Bullshit. Bullshit. You're just doing it for money, and there's nothing historical about it because it's your version. You know, don't put yourself on a pedestal, mate. Just because you grew up with Elvis, you were so lucky that he was so good to you, doesn't mean you are Elvis. Yeah, you're not Elvis. You are very lucky to have spent that time with him. So don't put yourself up here like you're something special. You're just one of us. But the mistake you made is that you did have a very, very serious problem with drugs and partying and all the rest of it, and women and all the rest of it, which is pretty typical of a man, and a teenage young man, a man in late teens, 20s, and yeah. Don't blame it on Elvis. Don't blame it on the fact that you went through a wild time and made loads of mistakes in your life. It ain't because of Elvis. It ain't because of. I would almost guarantee that Elvis tried to teach you to be a good man, a Christian man, live. Even one of your little clips, someone asks you, I may even have it. Somebody asks David Stanley, what is the best advice Elvis ever gave you? And you say to give yourself to Jesus. To give yourself to Jesus. You say this, your words. Best advice Elvis ever gave you, to give myself to Jesus. So if your life went off the rocks, off the rails, and you abused drugs and had loads of problems, it ain't because of Elvis, because Elvis gave you the best advice. Yeah, right. So, okay. So let me just get some stuff up. So we are gonna have to do this in 2 sections, okay? Guys, what we do here is, defending Elvis is tough, guys. It's tough. We go up against people. It's a tough thing to do, yeah? But we take it on. There's no point in being called defending Elvis if we're not going to take on the tough topics, right? I'm just going to click through these bits one at a time. Let's have a look. So Let me just get my earphones. Okay, so we can sort of, I'm going to play a couple of the short clips. I've got much longer clips that we're going to do on part 2. But I'm just going to click on them and see what it said. Okay, guys, some of the things you hear you won't like. Yeah? Now, remember, I'm not whitewashing Elvis like he was an angel and did nothing wrong. I won't do that. I won't whitewash Elvis. Right, let's just listen to this, guys.
Last time I saw Elvis, he said goodbye to me. He was crying. I love you. He hugged me. I'll never, ever see you again. The next time you see me, it'll be in a higher place in a different plane. He hugged me. Yeah. Last time I saw Elvis, he said goodbye to me. He was crying. I love you. He hugged me. I'll never, ever see you again. The next time you see me, it'll be in a higher place in a different plane.
See, so the reason, there's a reason I played that, because that is part of the whole Elvis committed suicide bullshit. Yeah? This is another way that Elvis was trashed. We, the fans, know that Elvis didn't commit suicide. We know it, because he loved Lisa too much. He would never have done that, ever.
So baffling that even those closest to him can't agree on the cause. Yet Elvis's own stepbrother, a trusted member of the inner circle, maintains that the king's death was not accidental. He says that Elvis committed suicide.
Elvis Presley.
So look, guys, you're going to hear it from the horse's mouth now, okay?
Woke up on the 16th of August, premeditated, planned, took and killed himself deliberately.
But why?
But how does that make you feel? How does that make you feel, guys? Seriously, like, come on. I don't care if this person, this ex-stepbrother, grew up with Elvis. This is someone Elvis loved and trusted. Loved and trusted. How would Elvis have felt listening to that? Listening to that. David, who he was so good to, literally gave him the life of royalty, the life of a Kennedy, the most amazing life he could ever have dreamed of. Yeah, David Stanley's life was a dream come true after he was introduced to Elvis. You imagine Elvis up in heaven listening to that. How would he feel that that is being said to the world, to millions of people, in books as well? How would Elvis feel? Would he feel disappointed and let down by David? Let's take it another step. How would Lisa Marie Presley feel? Seriously, guys. How would Lisa Marie Presley feel listening to that? She had to listen to that for decades. And we wonder why she had nothing to do with these people. Yeah? Nothing to do with the Smiths, nothing to do with the Stanleys, nothing to do with certain ex-girlfriends, certain people that grew up, that knew him growing up. Could you imagine? Seriously, could you imagine Lisa had to live with that? We've mentioned all the other stuff, you know, the book Elvis, What Happened, haven't we? We've mentioned all the other trashy, disgusting things that Lisa had to put up with. Yeah? Poor Lisa Marie had to put up with these trashy books. This one is Billy Smith, Lamar Fike, Marty Lacker. Yeah? Now, let's take it another step. How would Riley feel? Would she wonder if her grandfather tried to commit suicide? Would she wonder? When Finley and Harper well, they're 16, 17 now. They're mature enough and old enough to see and watch these kind of programs. How would they feel? Would they be thinking, oh, I wonder if my granddad killed himself? You get it, guys? There's not enough mention of the fact that Elvis was chronically sick as well. Yes, Elvis had a problem with prescribed medication, may have abused them, may have self-medicated, but he was also very, very, very sick. Very sick. He had inherited medical health problems, chronic health problems. He had the worst insomnia, the worst constipation. There was many, many things wrong with Elvis. which is why he needed his medication. He turned to his doctors for medication, just like everybody else does.
Why would a man who could have anything and everything he desired take his own life? What dark secrets could bring him to such a desperate act?
Now, obviously, this is like a sensationalized biography documentary. You know, this is to make loads of money. Everybody involved in this little documentary are there for money. For money. No regard for the fact that that is their stepbrother, that they grew up with Elvis and that he was so good to them, gave them a magical life, a life us would only could dream of. And they are there for money to trash his image, his reputation, which has had a long-term effect on damaging his legacy. And now, because of it, the whole world now thinks Elvis was just some junkie that wanted to shag everything in sight. You get it? Close family members. XX stepbrothers. They're not stepbrothers, they're ex-stepbrothers. Yeah? Because once the divorce happened, they weren't stepbrothers anymore. But they will say, I grew up with him, I know better. This is for historical purposes. This is a historical event. David's words. Bullshit. Bullshit. You're making money off Elvis. You're still doing it 50 years later. And you should show regret and say sorry for the bullshit you said in the past. True or not. But there's no way Elvis tried to commit or committed suicide. No way. Shame on you for saying that. Anybody that knew Elvis well knows that he would never have committed suicide because of how much he loved Lisa. That alone.
Not surprisingly, most people refuse to believe that Elvis Presley died by his own hand. However, David Stanley's eyewitness account, along with the circumstantial evidence, is compelling and warrants a closer look. Tonight we'll hear both sides of this ongoing controversy and learn the bizarre and intriguing details of Elvis's final days from those who knew him best.
Hi, Tony. Let me just pause this. Hi, Tony. Nice that you've joined us. You know we love you. Right, let's keep going. Now, this is serious, guys. This is going to take 3 or 4 episodes. This isn't going to be a quick flash in the pan live stream. We're going to go straight on to part 2 in about 8 minutes, okay? So I've done a bit of research on this. I haven't done loads, but I've done a bit. We've got a lot to go through. So I don't fall for this bullshit of Billy and Dave Stanley all becoming all mates again and they're going to do a new movie and everything's going to be okay. No. We want redemption. We want these people. No, Billy has redeemed himself. Billy Stanley has redeemed himself. He is a defender. But now that Billy has got back involved with David Stanley, your sole purpose should be to help Elvis, to boost Elvis, to make Lisa Marie proud, to make Riley, Finley and Harper proud. It should be all about that, all about his talent, how spreading how beautiful he was as a human being, a Christian man as well, of course, how much good he did for the world. Everything you guys do now should be trying to make up for the wrongs in the past. That's my message to the Stanleys. Everything you do should be about fixing the past. Everything. Billy is doing it. Billy is doing it. He's done it in he's done many interviews, praising Elvis, showing the world how great Elvis was. That's what we expect from David. Okay? As fans, I don't have to grow up with Elvis to say that. I'm a fan. Right, let me just see if I can play another clip. So let's have a look. It's all right, guys. You know Facebook's a pain in the ass. Where are we? So feel free to comment, guys. So look at the title. Look at the title of that video. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Did Elvis kill himself on August the 16th, 1977? David Stanley says he did. Shall I blow that up? I'm going to blow that up so you can see it. Hang on a minute. Let me just see if I can. Let's just see if I can make that bigger. No, hang on a minute. Let's click on it. One second. Yeah, there we go. There we go, guys. Let me see if you can see that. Did Elvis kill himself on August 16th? David Stanley says he did. That's disgusting. It's That is one of the most disgusting things the Stanleys ever did. And then he goes on Facebook on some big platform and says, this is a historical event. We grew up with Elvis. We know better. Yeah, such bullshit. Right. Do you know what? Kate, hi Kate, morning to you. It's not just the fact that they're hypocrites. It's also the fact that they should have known better. True or not, it's their cousin. It's their stepbrother. Ex-stepbrother. I make a point of saying that now. So Kate says, too much has been said. They made enough money from Elvis. Leave him alone. Well, yes, but actually, if they're going to praise him and discuss his good side, you know, the beautiful things that Elvis did for the world and his talent and his looks, in the way that Billy has done with his book, The Faith of Elvis, we're okay with it. I do think Billy is trying to redeem himself. I do. Yeah, of course, you guys know I'm not happy with how he treated me. I think it's bloody out of order. Really, he owes me an apology. But come on, guys, these people are never going to apologise. Yeah, so Carolyn says, I doubt Elvis said he'll never see him again. Yeah, Carolyn, I don't believe that. Carolyn, I don't believe that sentence was said. I don't believe Elvis went, hey, this is going to be the last time I ever see you. I'll see you in another place. Bullshit. Like Tony De Novelli says, a lot of these things were made up and never happened, and it was done for money to sensationalize the interview, so it gets more headline grabbing viewers. I agree with Nancy. The story keeps changing. Tony, Elvis would never. This is Tony Denovelis. Are you new? Tony, are you new to our show? Please introduce yourself. Welcome to Team Elvis. Elvis would never commit suicide, especially with Lisa Marie. Yeah, definitely. Robert Stack, Unsolved Mystery. I love him. Naughty David Stanley, bad boy. Yeah. So is that what this is? Robert Stack's Unsolved Mystery. Right, okay. Elvis would be angry. Elvis would never desert Lisa Marie. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so Nancy has a point. These, you know, David and Ricky have these vivid memories of Elvis being with him right up until the end, but then they say they were off their face, out of their heads on drugs. So their memories are drug-induced memories. They are off their face. The Ricky and David clearly have admitted that they were out of it. So none of their memories are historical events. Yeah, Nancy, obviously, there's no way he committed suicide. And Nancy's irritated. That's not a new thing, is it, Nancy? Yeah, Tony, I know about the story with the orphanage, what was happening. You're right. Those boys would have grown up in an orphanage if not for Elvis. I read somewhere that it was Elvis's decision to bring those boys out of the orphanage. Yeah, I don't want to go too into detail with D. Stanley and the orphanage and why the kids were in an orphanage, because I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about it. But one day we will discuss it. Maybe Billy will tell us. Yeah. This book clearly discusses how Elvis met the boys. I think they were 4, 6, and 7. And Elvis made sure that they were good and even got on his knees and prayed with them the first night they arrived at Graceland. So it's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful book. All right, you like my shirt, do you guys? Thanks, guys. Right, where are we? You know what, I think David said that he wanted to blame Brad and Sonny to take the blame away from him and Rick. You mean Sonny West? Yeah, from Red and Sonny West. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole separate topic though, isn't it, guys? Yeah. So David wanted to blame Red and Sonny and take the focus away from Rick because that was giving Elvis, because they was giving Elvis the harder drugs. And Red tried to stop it. Yeah, and I've read all this. Yeah, that Red didn't they break someone's wrist or something, or ankle or something, trying to stop these much more heavier drugs being given to Elvis. Yeah, but we don't really know the truth, the ins and outs of that, do we? We just know their version of events. But it does seem like Red stepped in and tried to stop all this. I think maybe even Sonny West. But we don't know, do we? We weren't there, guys. Pamela, no way would Elvis want to do that. So, in my opinion, it's all about the money, praising Elvis to make money. They can't trust anymore. They already went that route. Well, you say they can't trust anymore, Kate, but let's see what they say. Let's see these personal appearances, these little shows that David is doing. It does sound like he may even go on to do some with Billy. Let's see what's said. Let's see if he backtracks. Because one of the things that David is saying is, I was there. I was there. I know better. I was there. Well, no. Because you have twisted the truth to suit your narrative, your version of events. I would say that Elvis would disagree with you and say, I don't like your version of things. It's not correct. Yeah. There's never any mention of Elvis being sick, properly medically sick, chronically sick, unhealthy, serious health problems. It's always drugs this, drugs that. Yeah. Addiction this, addiction that. Yeah. So committed suicide. That's why he was so upset. Ginger was gonna go on talk to him. Now we're gonna go to part 2 now. But I will say this: Ginger Alden's version of events are different. On here, we're going to show you that Ricky and David are saying, Elvis had enough. He wanted to end it all. He didn't want to be alive. Elvis didn't like being Elvis. That's what David says. Yeah. Well, Ginger Alden says the opposite. Ginger Alden says Elvis was looking forward to the future, was taking less meds, had lost weight. He'd been on the holiday to Hawaii. Ginger Alden says that he wanted to start a family and was excited for the upcoming tour the next day. So you've got David Stanley's version of, oh my God, Elvis hated being Elvis. He was an out and out addict. But then you've got Ginger Alden, who was with Elvis to the very end, who says that he's been portrayed very unfairly and incorrectly by Ricky and David and other people, including Billy Smith. Yeah. So guys, we're going to come back for part 2 straight away. I'm going to make a cup of tea. Okay. The majority of people that isolated and surrounded Elvis were clueless and how unwell Elvis was. They call Elvis an addict. Yes. Thank you, Cassandra. Welcome to Team Elvis. We're going to stop and start. Literally, I'm going to make a tea. I'll put the link up straight away and we're going to carry on, guys. Okay. So literally 3 minutes. Please join me again. for part 2, okay? But we're going to have to do 3 or 4 parts of this, but we're going to do part 1 and part 2 this morning, okay, guys?